Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today before we completely stop on the 250MX Yamaha, I'm going to go through and verify I have spark, and we're going to go ahead and assemble the carburetor and get it installed. Then we can pretty much say that this one is done and we can move on. But I want to go through this stuff, so let me get you overhead and we'll see what we've got. Okay, let's get the side cover off this thing. All right, we've got a coil and we've got a CDI box. So these are easy here. It's just plug and play. You get the 3-pronger with the red wire in it. It goes to the same here, and then we've got the two wire plug, and those two go together. Okay, and then this is the tricky one, the one with the orange wire, and there's a lot of stuff need to be repaired here. I've got some bare wires and whatnot. This is all old stuff, and let's see, we know that the black and the white with white stripe is the kill button. So the orange is to the coil. So that's where we'll plug that in. And then we've got a ground. And that is the black wire, the solid black wire is a ground to the CDI box. And that's just I'm gonna wrap this around here, but I'm just gonna plug it onto the case here. And let's see, we've got to ground the coil to the frame of the coil, to the engine, same thing, just hook it to the other one here. Try to keep these kind of in some kind of order. And what I think I'll do is just use my big, this is I believe it's a 5mm plug gap. If it'll jump this, it'll jump anything. Yeah, 5mm. Get the dog hair off of it there. Yeah, that's a 5mm or 200 thousandths gap. Okay, so actually I could have just, I'll just get another wire here. All right. Again, I'll just hook to the engine and kind of keep this up out of the way. And we'll just hook this. So this is the ground that normally you would just set it on the cylinder head. And we'll plug it in. Okay, just like that, hopefully. Make sure we don't have anything touching that shouldn't be. All right, now I'm going to turn the light off. If we've got good fire, the light won't matter, but see, there's our plug. So I'm going to turn this in this way. I'm seeing it. I don't know, maybe I'm in your way though. Try it again. I'd say we're good. Okay, I'll try it again with a little focus in on it here. I think it's all good. Looks good to me. we'll see what it looks like on the camera. Okay, so we'll just disconnect all this menagerie here. And then we'll get on with our carburetor work. Just have to kind of, when you're hooking this up, just think about what you don't have. You don't have this attached to, you don't have the coil attached to a frame and all these things attached together. So, and when you're, in this case, I didn't have the spark plug laying up here on the engine. So you've got to remember you've got to have a ground there. So essentially there I used 3 different grounds to get the result we were looking for. And all this stuff is pretty old and needs to be worked on, except for the stator, which is all done. And not much I can do with this except probably just cut them off back a little ways. And you can see I've got a frayed wire there, and just kind of slide the connectors back. So these are wanting to pull out. So I'll probably put new rubber connectors on this. This is pretty beat up, and just cut the wires back a little bit to get into the good part. It's just not anything unless you know how to get into these things and redo them that you can do. So let's move on with the carburation. Okay, we've got everything cleaned up. It did clean up pretty good, but it wasn't real bad to start with. We'll just go ahead and start our assembly here. I like to start with the needle and seat. So we'll get that going here. I think that's kind of a weird size on that one. It is for a fact. Okay. It's tightened up. Get our needle, and it looks in good shape. It's got no ridges or anything on the point, and the plunger looks good. And then we've got our little keeper that goes on. Oh boy. I think I'm trying to put it on backwards. There it goes. There. Okay, just so that doesn't fall out. That's what it's there for. And let's get our float arm on. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little witness mark right here showing how it was installed. And that's, I believe, correct. This is your stop right here, I guess, so that some of them have it bent down, but this one doesn't. I'm just going to put it back in the way the witness mark was on it. And at this point we need to measure our float level. And I don't have data for this exact engine. I'm using for a 74 DT2MX series. And in this book, it's showing me the float level for the MX 250 at 23.4 plus or minus 2.5. And that's measured using caliper. It says measure the distance of the float arm from the top of the float chamber gasket with the gasket removed to the float arm. So that's what we'll do. And we'll see how it pans out. Okay, millimeters, and it said 23.4. Give or take a little bit. That's pretty close. And with it, without any pressure on it, let's see, where's the best place to measure? I guess we could go to there. Well, actually, it looks pretty good. See, we don't have any pressure on it. And that surface seems to be about the same. So I think we're good. I think that's good. I suppose you could measure it back here, but I really think that it's better to measure it towards the free arm. And if you look here, that the gasket surface, that's what they're telling you to measure at. This surface around the tube is the same height. So that's what I'm basing my measurement off of right there. And there's a little bit of gap there, but not much. So I'm saying we're pretty close. I think we're within that tolerance they give. All right. Now let's go ahead and get our pilot jet in. Now we verified all these jets in one of these last, I think it was not the last issue or the last video, but the one before it. And these, again, they don't have to be very tight, and I would recommend using a gunsmithing screwdriver. They call them hollow ground. And this particular set that I've got is Forester. And that way you get full contact inside the jet. Not necessarily that you need it when you're putting it together, but when you're taking it apart, to make sure you've got the best opportunity to get it out of there if it's stuck. Okay, so we've got that in, and now let's get the needle jet. And remember, you've got the little slot here that the pin, which is located right here, it sticks into that area. That's where that slot is going to go. So I just, with a pair of needle nose, push it up there, and then I try to get my finger stuck up in there to hold it. Yep, just like that. And then we've got the plate that goes on it here, just like this. And then our main jet. Okay, get our gasket. Oops, I bet I gotta put that, oh, all right, it goes this way though. Yep, all right, I gotta back up here a little bit. Let me do that. Okay, you gotta put all this on before you put this, I'm not sure what they call this piece. On the smaller bikes, it's called a setter, but it doesn't look like this. It's the one that has the little O-ring that goes into the float bowl. And this one, of course, is different than that. And it's got this baffle that goes on there. So it's part of the gasket or actually it's separate. I think you've got a gasket on both sides of it. But anyhow, we should be good there now. And we've got our float bowl. It's all nice and clean. Now these pins on the floats, those are going to go down, just like that. So make sure those are oriented correctly. Usually these say up on them somewhere, but I'm not seeing it on this set. So the pins go down, just like that. And then they come up and work with the arm right here. So we'll just keep from everything falling apart and floats falling out. We'll just do it like this. And go ahead and install our float bowl screws. All right, get the float bowl on, tightened up. Now we get our plug in the bottom installed. Make sure you get your gasket on it. That's a 17 millimeter. And just snug it up. Okay, we've got our needles to go in, the air screw, the spring, and of course the air screw. And this is another good thing for these hollow ground screwdrivers, gunsmithing type. And we'll just give that a 1.5. There's a half, 1.5, just to start with. And then over here we've got our idle screw adjustment. Just run that in there. And then we've got our choke. Everything looks like it works like it should. Let's see, we get, I believe this goes up. Like that. They usually have a little lock washer on them. I'm not seeing that. It must be missing. Yeah. We'll just make do. This may not use them, I don't know. All these carburetors are a little different. And we've got the 12 millimeter for tightening up our enricher, our choke. And since we don't have a cable to put in, I am using, I reset this to the 3rd notch. Now the book tells me that that's in the 4th notch for this standard, but I'm going to put it in the middle because when I start trying to get the jetting right, I just like to start in the middle and work from there. So we'll go ahead and get that stuck in there, get the lock down there. Go ahead and get this in. Remember, you've got the pin that slides in here, so your air cutout will go to the back, just like that. Of course, that kind of popped up there. And our spring and cap. And this one, being an MX, even has a boot. Just keep everything, keep the moisture out of there, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't tear. Trying to stretch it over. Yeah, it's kind of a complicated thing. All right, I think we got her now. Okay. And I'll pull my little paper towel out of there. Is that going to still be able to be there, you think? Probably not. All right, let's get it out of there. Loosen that up a little bit. And I'm going to put a little WD on that, I think. I'm just going to put a little on the paper towel and then wipe the inside of the boot. And then a little right there, just so it'll slide together. There we go. And then give her a little clamping action. All right, so there we are, I believe. Where's that other lead at? Getting stuck. There we go. All right. So there we go. I think we're done with it now. Until we find a platform for it. Okay, there we go. Okay guys, there you have it. I think we're pretty well complete with this now. As complete as we can do it. We know it's got spark, and we got the carburetor reassembled, and everything was pretty much as it should be. A couple videos ago, we verified all the jetting was correct. So all we had to do today was pretty much just put it together and check the float level. And it was right on too. So I think this one's ready to go. It's just going to go on the shelf until I find a platform for it or make something. I'm still wanting to make a frame and you know, a flat tracker probably out of the 250 twin, and I've still got a desire to make a land speed bike out of the 125, but the price of the chrome moly and everything right now, and I know I'm going to screw a bunch of it up, so the price is just really too high to be doing stuff like that. Plus I've got to ship it in. So I'm just kind of waiting on steel prices to go down a little bit before I get into this. So I'll get back on the Kawasaki, I think, and I'm starting to clean up parts on it, and I'm getting ready to do some repairs. So for now, we'll call this one done, and it's done. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.